Hello, I'm charging my car and I thought, why not, while I wait, do a little vlog. So yeah, today's vlog is a story time. No, not vlog. Yeah, today's video is a story time. A story time about what I regard as being rich. Funnily enough, so many people on social media always tend to ask me about my finances. They're just like, oh, whether it's what I earn, whether it's do I save, how do me and my husband split things? And if I'm honest, as much as it is a very personal question, I also sometimes wonder that about other people, whether it's from the same industry or whether it's people, I don't know, like a successful actor or I don't know, because you kind of roughly always know what a doctor or a surgeon or a lawyer, you know what they earn. But I feel like when it's the creative industry, it's just always a little bit different, right? So I figured, yeah, let's talk about finances, but let's also talk about, what I regard as being rich. I think this is a better angle. Okay, so let's go back a little bit. You might have, if you've seen some of my other story times, I have talked about this, is basically that I'm a refugee, or I was a refugee, and we grew up in a refugee home. My parents, if I'm trying to think back, I remember my parents doing 2-3 jobs, honestly, I'm talking about anything they could do. And obviously they did anything and everything for us to go to school, and we didn't have school uniforms. So in Germany, where we took refuge, it was just normal schools, normal government schools, so we didn't have to pay for anything, of course. Education was free. And so I think the pressure came when we were sort of me and my sister were sort of 10, 11 years old. We wanted to be cool like the rest of the kids. We wanted to wear nice stuff. We wanted to have, the latest fashion. And so we started pressuring our parents, because we're spoiled, ungrateful little kids that we were. You completely forget about the struggles, because your parents don't talk about the struggles, and your parents don't really, they want to give you everything they didn't have. So we wanted obviously everything, and my parents would save up, and then they would just be like, okay, you got to wait a few months. And now when I think back to it, I'm just like, how dare we? My parents worked 2-3 jobs and we still made them buy us really expensive, what was in at the moment, obviously in comparison to now. But anyway, that's a whole different conversation. When I think about parents and kids and the kind of pressures kids face with other kids, and they want to be cool and they want to fit in, and that's a separate conversation, and I might not be able to relate anymore now. I don't have any kids, so let's not talk about that. But let's just say my parents did really struggle, and me and my sister, we kind of never really wanted to show that we were poor, or that we came we were living in refugee homes, and then we went and lived in a council sort of housing. It took a really, really, really long time before my parents were able to rent somewhere else. And bear in mind, we rented, as far as I could remember, until we moved to this country, we've always rented. So my family rented. We never owned property. We were never allowed to paint our walls or put pictures up, we couldn't nail anything on the walls at the time, any of the apartments that we were staying in. And it was kind of we never went on holiday. We never ate out. We never, we just about got birthday gifts, and that's about it. Nothing else. There was no Diwali. There was no, New Year's presents or whatever. So let's just say, now when I think of it, yeah, we did have a tough sort of life, but my parents tried their absolute best to sort of give us everything that we could have and stuff. And then we moved to the UK. And when we moved to the UK, it was starting from scratch again. We were living with 2 different uncles at the time. So we were living in family homes because we didn't have a place to stay. So me, my sister, my parents, we all slept in one room at someone else's house. And it was tough. And then it was the school uniforms, and then we were getting bullied at school because we couldn't speak English, and this was obviously happening to us in Germany as well because we couldn't speak German, and until we learned the language. So it was really, really tough and really hard again. And for my parents, it was back to from scratch. They saved up whatever they saved up. they wanted to buy a property, and they managed to buy a property. It took a little while, but they managed. But until then, again, it was like 2 to 3 jobs, and it was just like back to that same sort of circle and cycle. And yeah, so it was kind of like a little bit tough again. And then obviously went to uni. Then I lived out, and when I lived out, listen, I was living off like instant noodles. I didn't have a car. I just about had a bus pass. And then, like, you know, and so when you think back to all of those things, to the person who I am now, like, you guys, a lot of you follow me or have been following me in the last, I don't know, 5 years, maybe 10 years. But even then, you see this glamorous Vithya, this bougie Vithya that, I don't know, buys designer bags, drives nice cars, or lives in a nice home, or whatever it is. Like, whatever you guys think, I mean, not think, you see it, you know, the little bits that I show on social media are things that I've worked really, really hard for. Like, I've worked so hard for them, and 90% of the things I own, and the other 10% are like things like the house and the car and the, you know, like the bills and the mortgage and stuff that I share with my husband. But everything else has been bought pretty much with my own money, and I've worked really, really hard for it. And I've always wanted to be independent. And even if my husband was just like, oh, let me buy you this bag, or let me buy you this, like, for me it was like such a pride thing that I'm just like, no, I want to buy these things with my own money. That was really, really, really important to me. All my life I've wanted to make the kind of money where I could literally buy whatever I wanted. Now let's talk about designer bags and this lifestyle and whatever. Yeah, so like buying all of those things and whatever. Listen, I admit a lot of it, I mean, you know, we all have this dream. Like, everyone has, I don't know, some people want to buy gold, some people want to buy saris, some people want to buy nice watches, some people want to collect, whatever it is. Everybody has this thing that they want to spend their money on. And for me, it was designer bags. I've stopped buying designer bags. Well, one of the main reasons that I've stopped buying designer bags was the realization of like, wait a second, I have nobody to leave this to. What am I going to do collecting all of these really expensive bags that I'm going to wear, and then that's it? Like, where are they going to go? And that was a thing, because designer bags, just like with gold or watches or whatever, they're meant to be passed on because they're an investment and they go up in value. Like, I'm talking about the bags that go up in value. But anyway, so I was kind of just like, I'm being silly. Like, I should, you know, yeah, I can shop and look fashionable and stuff, but I don't need to buy bags that are like 5,000, 10,000 pounds. That's like, to me, that realization of just like, why am I buying this? Like, I could be spending this money on other things. Equally, my husband and I had this conversation where we were like, okay, we have the one property. Do we really need to buy other properties to rent? Or do we need to, I don't know, climb up the corporate ladder when, again, we don't have anyone to leave it to? We're kind of just like, you know, in Tamil we say, right? So that was another thing where we were like, oh, let's be mindful. Let's have a pension plan. Let's think about retirement. Let's think about those things. But also, I watched this video about humility, okay? And that really was like a game changer, because it made me realize that humility just meant that you should really not like overly be greedy and just like enjoy the things that you have. But also, it doesn't have to be the biggest house. It doesn't have to be the fanciest car. It doesn't have to be the fanciest of everything. It doesn't have to, you know, all of those things. And that was kind of really interesting, because I'm just like, that is so true. Why do we need to have, like, I don't know, like, why do we even need to have 2 cars? It's just my husband and I. We could share a car. Why not? You know, so we were thinking of things from a practical point of view. And I'm going to use this example where I remember I was sitting in the train and I bumped into a few people that I had known like back in college days, okay? So a really, really long time ago. And there was a group of us and we were all talking. We were like, hey, how are you? And one of the wives, she asked me in front of everyone, she was just like, oh, how come you live, you know, on the opposite side? Like, why don't you live near where your parents live? And where my parents live is more of an expensive area in comparison to where I live. So they asked me, they were like, why do you not live, there. And I said to them, oh, like the houses are just too expensive, so I didn't really want to live there. And I will never forget this. She said to me, what do you mean? Like, I thought you were earning really, really well. Why do you not live there? And I was so shocked that she said that. And so it took me a moment. I was kind of thinking about it. And then I was like, it's not about like what I earn, and it's not about whether I can afford it. I don't want to spend 70 or 80% of my earning on a huge 6-bedroom house with a swimming pool and all of that. I don't have need for it. I don't want to do that. Like, I am quite happy with the small, cozy 3-bedroom house that we have, where the mortgage is really low and we have all this extra money every month to do whatever we want. And I'm like, I'd rather live that life than show to everybody that I can afford this massive villa and stuff. Like, I don't. And yes, okay, fine. I drive a Tesla. Fair enough. But the only reason I switched to a Tesla, I've always driven an Audi, and Audis secondhand are not that expensive in the UK, by the way, with all the new rules and, kind of like, oh my God, like how difficult and how expensive it was with petrol cars and driving through Central. You have to pay congestion charges, and then there was all of these other extra things that you had to pay for if you had a diesel car, whatever. Anyway, so then I was trying to calculate from a business perspective, because I drive a lot. I was like, okay, you know what, electric cars is the future. It is what I should really get. Then we test drove and checked out so many electric cars, and I'm talking about the cheapest electric cars on the market to the most expensive. And I settled for the Tesla. I felt like, you know what, it was a dream car, and I thought, if I'm going to be driving most of my life, because I drive 5 to 6 hours sometimes a day. And so I thought, okay, so I bought the Tesla, and it is the best decision that I've made ever. If I'm honest, even if the house didn't work out for us and we, were renting and it was a cute little apartment somewhere, I would have been fine with it. Like, I love apartments, so I would have been pretty happy with that as well. I had a group of people who were on a different bracket of what they were earning. I don't know, like, and please, like, I hope nobody takes offense, anyone that's watching it, especially if it's an ex-friend of mine, but the pressure was real. Like, I felt this pressure of having to own these bags or wear these clothes or have this kind of lifestyle, and I bought into it. Like, I did it. Like, I would, like go and purchase these things and, being so casual about it. So I can so understand what it must be like if you're from a middle class family, but your friends or get married or whatever to like an upper class, and then your lifestyle could change. I mean, you have to have a very strong mind to be like, I don't care. So that took a really long time for me, years for me to sort of step back and be like, no, I don't want this lifestyle, or I don't want to be spending money like this. And I hope people can like me or accept me the way I am and the things that I spend money on. And a lot of you watching probably think, oh, please, like, we think of you that way. Like, you're like intimidating because you're up there and you have this lifestyle and you're bougie and you spend money like this and stuff, right? You might think that about me, but I was thinking about, so can you imagine me thinking like that about another group of people who are like, like, I'm not saying above me, but I'm just saying like they were just in a different finance bracket. And for me, it was kind of just like, listen, like, it's okay. I still have friends who probably, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I do have some friends who are on a different finance bracket, but they live such a humble life and they're very kind of like chill, and you will never think they earn the money that they earn. And I feel like personally, those are the type of people I feel very comfortable with and I feel very comfortable around, because there's no talk about, ooh, what newest restaurant did you try out in Mayfair? Or, oh my God, did you see the latest Chanel bag? And oh, you know, I know I'm taking the piss. It's not nice to do that. I'm sorry. But I'm just saying that we don't have those conversations. I don't have those conversations anymore. So I used to have these conversations with a certain group of people, and now it's kind of just like, no. So I can understand that sometimes it can be hard when you've been friends with somebody for a really long time and all of a sudden that friend's life circumstances change. Either they, you know, start making 5 times more money than you, or they lose their job, or they get themselves into financial struggles, and that can really test your friendship or your relationship with these people. As much as people are like, oh, you know, money doesn't matter and money should never, you know, but I've noticed this having been, you know, around people from so many different countries and industries and, you know, different types of friends groups and stuff. Finance does make a difference. And I've been I've never cared about any of my friends and what kind of money they make. I don't expect anything, and I don't expect people to spend money on me, and I always check with my friends about their finances, even if we go on holiday, or even if we, you know, even if it's my cousins. Like, we all have these healthy conversations about, hey, like, what's your budget? Like, what can you afford? Like, you know, and nobody judges no one, and that's quite nice to have that. But it's hard to be friends with people who do make snidey comments. Yeah, my car has stopped charging now, so let me just go fix that and then continue. Okay, I moved my car. I think the lighting's even better here. But what I mean by rich is being rich where you can go to a restaurant. I'm not talking about like high-end fine dining. I'm just talking about generally you can go to a restaurant, or you can go grocery, or you can go, I don't know, to an adventure, like, you know, or go visit a museum or whatever, where you don't think about the cost and you treat your loved ones. And that feeling of like taking my parents to a restaurant and paying, or giving them pocket money for holidays sometimes. My mum's retired, so sometimes I'm like, here you go, you know, like, go treat yourself, like, while you're out there, and go to a nice restaurant. That feeling that I get when I do that, or when I, you know, treat my cousins, or treat my friends, or treat my husband, or, you know, I buy them gifts, or I buy them things and whatever, that kind of feeling to me makes me feel rich. It's like, I feel rich enough to be able to do those things. I don't want to be I don't know. I don't want to be like, me and my husband talk about this all the time. Like, sorry, my husband and I talk about this all the time, where we're like, oh my God, what would we do if we won the lottery? Even though I don't play the lottery. Hypothetical theories where we're like, oh, what would we do in that scenario? And we have this conversation, and I always say to my husband, I'm just like, I don't want to be a millionaire. Like, I don't want to be a millionaire. And he's always just like, what? And I'm just like, no, I think money changes people. Like, I really do. I don't want to be a millionaire. Like, I want to work really hard for the money that I get, that I earn. I want to work really hard for it so that I appreciate it, so that I'm just like, oh my God, it's such a nice feeling to treat yourself, or it's such a nice feeling to go on holiday with it, or something like that. I don't want anything given to me on a platter. And this is probably one of the reasons I've never wanted anyone that I've dated in the past, or even my husband, to buy me expensive things, because I'm just like, I'm never going to appreciate them, I'm never going to value them, and I'm never going to really care, because for me it's just going to be like, oh, it's a gift, like, they can afford it, they've got money, so they bought it for me. I don't want to have that attitude. I want to be so proud of the things that I have, and I look after the things that I have really, 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 really well. Like, I literally, oh my God, like, I take such good care of the things that I have. I value them, and I'm so grateful for them. So yeah, so to answer the question, that is what I call rich. I think there's this kind of freedom if you earn your own money, and it doesn't matter how much you earn, but that you're able to be humble and you have that sort of humility towards the money that you earn and the respect towards the money that you earn, and kind of be like, ഇതെങ്ങൾക്ക് പോതും, ഇതെങ്ങൾക്ക് കാണും, you know, in English it would be like, you know, this is more than enough, you know, and being really satisfied with it. And this is the problem with social media as well in today's age, where people look at someone else's lifestyle and they assume that they must, I don't know, be earning a certain amount, or they must have this sort of lifestyle, or they must be so happy and they must have everything, you know, it must be all perfect and great. And you guys need to realize that that's not the case. Like, it's not the case for most people on social media. Like, I feel like, you know, yeah, like they just show what they want to show, right? And so I kind of feel like you shouldn't really compare yourself with others that way, because yeah, it can rob you of your peace, but at the same time it can really make you spend money that you don't really want to spend. And I sometimes feel bad because I would have brides or brides mothers or brides partners or anybody that I meet sometimes come up to me saying, oh my God, because of you, like, you know, she went and bought this, or she wanted this, and then I had to buy her this. And then I always feel so guilty because I'm just like, oh my God, because sometimes you don't realize, or I don't realize, the power of influence, the power of, because bear in mind, I'm not an influencer. Like, I use social media to create these videos. I'm more of a content creator and I enjoy it. So I post something that I think is amazing and I'm just like, oh my God, the skincare is great. You guys should all have it as well. That's more my thinking. But when people come to me saying, oh my God, like I went and bought this, you know, like with all the savings that I have or something, that does make me feel really bad, because I'm just like, oh my God, it's not a priority. Like, you really shouldn't have to buy this or feel pressured to buy this. But this is the problem with social media. So that's why I kind of wanted to do this story time as well, to make people realize, like, I know it was all over the place because I didn't plan this. Like, this was just like random. I'm at a bridal job. I have an hour before my next reception makeup look, and I thought I'll do this little story time because I haven't done one in a while. But I want you guys to really sit there and think about everything that I've said. I've kind of just like very briefly touched on certain topics, but I want you to kind of just sit there and be like, huh. So, yeah. And as a makeup artist, like, it depends whether you're a makeup artist or a photographer or whatever field you're in. Like, you could earn a lot of money, you know. Obviously it takes, like, it depends on how many jobs you take, how established you are, do people trust you, and, you know, there's a whole sort of, you know, stepping stone hierarchy. I don't know how to explain it, but like, the more established you are, the more experienced you are. I'm not saying you have to charge crazy amounts because you're popular or whatever. I don't think I am. I don't think I'm that expensive. I think I'm fairly reasonable, and I've had the same prices for the last 5-6 years. And in comparison to a lot of other established makeup artists, I feel like I'm sort of on the same sort of price range as them. That's what I think anyway. Like, whenever people book me, I've heard a lot of people say to me, oh, I thought you were going to be way more expensive. Because it's not, for me, it's not about the money. I love what I do, and equally, I don't want to have I don't want people to have too many expectations of me. I always feel like if you charge so much money, people are going to have those kind of expectations, and I don't want that. I want people to be like, you know what, she was reasonable, she was okay, her prices were okay, and her job was fine. Like, and the kurta kasu keta mari, it's fine. Like, meaning the money was like worth it, you know. That is really important to me. So and then obviously other sorts of income, whether it's other projects, whether it's the teaching, whether it's the, I'm trying to think, there are so many other things that I do as well as bridal, obviously. And, you know, I don't know, my taxes reflect on that. Basically taking lesser jobs than I used to, because I'm trying to control that, because I'm like, no, I don't want to work so much more and then pay so much more taxes. So I'd rather work less and pay less and just rest and chill. And, you know, so that is what I do basically. But yeah, I could earn a ridiculous amount of money that even I probably wouldn't know what to do with, but I don't want to. And I'm very happy, and I'm happy that I have my sanity and a good mental health and a good work-life balance. And that is good enough for me. And that is a blessing in itself, being able to be privileged, or having worked so hard that you can choose and you can say no to jobs, and you can just kind of be like, nah, I don't need that money, kind of thing. That is, oh my God. I used to do bridal jobs for £150, guys. Like, and I used to do makeup jobs, guest makeup, for £50. And I didn't have a car, and I used to take the train to do these kind of jobs. To be able to now, you know, pick and choose and say no, it is a major luxury, a luxury that I feel like I earned. So you can too. Anybody can. I feel like anyone can really do the things that they want to. I understand that for some people situations are different, which means they might have to work extra hard, or they might not have the opportunities that maybe I've had. I understand that it's different for everyone, and especially now I'm still able to maybe earn this money or live the kind of lifestyle that I do because I don't have kids, and because I don't have anyone else depending on me financially. So I do get that also changes things dramatically and drastically, you know, or in comparison anyway. But I just hope that this video kind of, I don't know, inspired you and made you really think about things, and made you really think about all of us, and just money in general, and, you know, not having to have the biggest house, or the most expensive car, or the flashiest, you know, designer label brand like in your face. And, you know, there are certain things that I feel like is not a must. It's not a need, if that makes sense. But if you want to, of course, and if you can afford it, great, good for you. I mean, I'm just trying to say, don't do things to show someone else that you apparently have this life. Or maybe you do, and you still want to show it. I feel like, why? You know? So think about it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope this didn't trigger anything, and I hope I didn't offend anybody, and I hope I didn't sound cocky or full of myself or superior, or I hope I didn't intimidate anybody. That was not my intention. I did not want anyone to feel negative watching this video. I just wanted people to kind of be like, you know what? Like, I just wanted to be raw and real and honest, and I hope that I was that. Because with these story times, I don't plan them, okay? Like, I just talk as if I'm talking to my friends and cousins. So I really hope that that's how it came across as well. Mwah! Until next time.